turning to get down to the beach. I don't know what would. So, Ted, where are you right now?
Right now, I am at the project Blue Playa Venao by the Deckel Group. That's what I'm at, one of their penthouse units. It's not fully finished, as you can see, but all of these homes here are finished. Almost all are sold. The developer has very little home inventory, and what they're focusing on now is finishing up their first 8 condo buildings. They're just 4 stories tall. I don't know if you can see that, Ken. Am I pointing in the right direction?
Absolutely. Yep.
So each of these units, each of these buildings, that is E, F, G, and H. I'm an A, and then you got B, C, D, has 2 units on the bottom, 2 units, second floor, 2 third, and then a penthouse on the top. Each building is exactly identical like that. And all of the units except the penthouses are 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So those particular condos out across the way there, 4 stories, it looks like they're 70% done or so. When are they expecting to get those delivered?
So the one I'm standing in and this row here of A through D, these buildings, which are almost all sold out, are going to be delivered in a couple of months.
Okay.
And then the ones across the way here, about a year. And then there's a phase 3 of this project that's going to be going along here. This project's about 15 acres, so it's a big piece of land. And they've got more land over here that they're going to be putting in 6 more of these buildings, and then about an equal number of more sort of bigger 3-bedroom, 3-bath type homes.
Okay, very nice. And as an investor, what's the angle? You've got some vacation rental potential there.
It's interesting, Kent, because Playa Venao in general, demographically, is skewing a lot younger than what we're seeing in Pedasi as far as buyers. I was talking to Sam Sylvan, who sort of runs the sales down here, and he says that he thinks, just off the cuff, his average ownership age in the development Blue here is about 40 years old.
Okay.
So it's young folks, it's surfers, and people are mostly buying here to vacation use and vacation rent.
Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely. So it's kind of like fly down, stay for a week or 2, and then just pay your dues and maybe some of the mortgage with the income that comes in.
Yeah, that's right. And the pandemic has ironically really helped areas like Playa Venao. A lot of folks got the heck out of Dodge when they could and moved down here and took some of these, houses here long term. So you've got more long term folks in now. The whole WeWork phenomenon, a lot of surfers coming down from the West Coast, folks who, can work from anywhere. There's really good internet in this area. And so they come down, they work from here, they get to surf, and they just get to chill, and they're really liking it. And it's created a pretty cool vibe down here in Venao the last few years.
Man, I mean, we can both remember what it was like to see cows walking on that that cove on Playa Venao, and look where it's come to. It's amazing. So, and it's nice to see a place really get into its stride, because obviously, as real estate guys, we kind of have to explain how things are supposed to be. And then when they end up actually happening, it's like, yes, for the win. So
totally.
Yeah. And, I mean, they've delivered, right? And the roads, I mean, talk to us a little bit about the before and after and kind of timing about when all these roads finally got done, because they're done. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, it's been a big bonus for the whole area. The government came in about, I would say now 5 years ago, something like that. Don't fact check me, but that's about right. And they redid the road from the Pan American Highway. If people don't know, Playa Venao and Pedasi are on the southeast corner, basically, of the Azuero Peninsula, right? So Panama's east-west. I always have to explain that to folks because they think it's north-south. It's not. The country goes east-west. Caribbean north, Pacific south. So we're on the Pacific Ocean here. So, when they did the road from the Pan American Highway up north of us down to Las Tablas and then down to Pedasi, it made it so much easier. Now it's 4 lanes to Las Tablas, brand new roads all the way to Pedasi. But then the road from Pedasi down to here to where we are now, which is only about 20 miles, about 30K, it was really crappy. And it got even crappier because the government announced that they were going to fix it. And so they stopped spending money to sort of maintain it because they were saving up their budget to redo it, basically. And then they didn't do it, and then they didn't do it. And finally, they did it. And now it is, other than a couple of little bridges along the way that they're doing now, that's the final touches. It is so easy to get here. It's a brand new, perfect road. And it goes beyond here, too, all the way to Tono C. So there's this whole stretch now is really easy to get around.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going from Pedasi to Tono C. You'd be looking at back in the day, what, an hour and 45 minutes ish, maybe longer. I don't know. It depends on how fast you drive.
It depends upon how bad you want to get beat up.
Yeah. And that was then. And now it's like, I don't know what, an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. Hour and a half.
Yeah, from Pedasi to Tono C is an hour.
An hour. Yeah. I mean, that's like a 50% reduction, and it's huge. I mean, that's commerce that makes commuting, or at least sort of, being based here, but doing business here a lot more viable. So, we're seeing that whole stretch develop, all the way down looking, at Cañas, like the other side of Playa Venao. We've sold a lot of land out that way. We're seeing a lot of houses getting built. So finally, Playa Venao is hitting this critical mass. And, as Ted knows, a big piece of property traded hands about a year ago that was owned by a big old Panamanian family. Now a investment group bought it, and they've already started to kind of make some moves, right? I mean, doing a little bit, at least moving dirt or improving infrastructure and just putting money in the ground, right?
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on right now. And whenever you start talking about that, people think, I come from Hawaii. I come from that Waikiki sort of, so do you, we remember when people talk about development of a beach area, there's that double-edged coin where people are like, oh, geez, it's so wonderful that there's more stuff to do and more people can come. But at the same time, I want to preserve the character of the place. And I just want to point out to folks that Playa Venao, in my opinion, nobody's coming in here and building 20-story buildings. Nobody's coming in here and doing any of that. It's really sort of organic, smaller projects. Blue represents probably the biggest project to date, and maybe the biggest project that'll ever happen here. There's about 50 single-family homes, about 100 condos in this project. But, Kent, right now, for example, this is the Selena Hotel, the first one. So Selena's become this worldwide brand. This is the first one right here. And then right next to that is a little sort of food court area called Wow Venao. I don't know if you can see that sign right there, but Wow Venao is right here. A bunch of different cool restaurants. This is going to be an office park for that WeWork community type folks. Over there, they're stacking containers. They're going to do a really big hotel that is, for Venao it's big, maybe 80 rooms, something like that. And then, some of these bigger pieces. Again, this is a work site, which is why I've got my construction sandals on. But if you look up on the hills here, you can see, it's hard to see from here, but there's some houses being built up in the hills. Venao, and hopefully Jonathan or somebody can post a map of Venao or some sort of aerial shot so people who haven't been here can see what it looks like. But basically, it's just this bay. It's about 2.5 miles long. And behind the bay are all these hills, right? And so you can either buy something beachfront, like in a community like this, or you can get up in the hills. And we've got inventory both ways. Some folks prefer to have the view. Some folks prefer to be a little bit farther off the beach. Some folks just want to walk out of their house and be surfing. And that's what you can do here.
Oh, magical. So true. So true. No, it's timing. Timing is as important in real estate, I think, as location. So yeah, good things are happening right now, and we're excited. So, like I said, we were going to get another colleague on the line, but we had a little bit of a mix of schedules. So, Ted, let's talk a little bit more about your area, Pedasi and Venao. So you've got Pedasi, which is now about 30 minutes from Venao. It used to be about 50 bone jarring minutes and suspension crushing minutes. Now it's 30 minutes, smooth sailing. What's the vibe up in Pedasi, and how does it, somebody comes down, they're probably going to look at both places just because they feel like they need to, and that's okay. That said, who ends up staying in Pedasi? Who ends up staying in Venao?
Well, that's a really good question, and it goes to the heart of what we do down here, because we do serve both communities selling property. And I would say the easiest way to define it is that Pedasi is a town and Venao isn't. So Pedasi has goods and services and infrastructure of a small town, only about 4,000 people. It's closer to the other towns in this area, Las Tablas, which is the provincial capital, about half an hour from Pedasi, and then Chitere, which is the biggest city in our area. It's got about 50,000 people, so that's the big metropolis. But it's just closer. It's a little bit logistically easier, and there's more of a community. Playa Venao, on the other hand, also is forming a community, but it's really in its infancy. So there's no public school, there's no church, there's no sort of town square that you're going to see in all these little Panamanian towns. Playa Venao really, and you remember, I mean, I started coming here, I think about 20 years ago. There was nothing, right?
Yeah.
There was a little shack on the beach where people would literally go in there, leave their surfboards all year in the rafters, and they'd still be there when they'd come back to surf 6 months later. It was amazing. And so Playa Venao is growing. I think Playa Venao is, like I said, demographically going to be a little bit younger, a little bit hipper. Pedasi is more for folks. I don't want to say it's only for retirees, because Pedasi, I was at a function the other night, and I was looking around doing the sort of demographic look. I would say the average age at that party was about 40, right? So it's not that there aren't young people in Pedasi.
Kids.
Pedasi also has its scene. But if I were to tell people what are you looking for, one of the things Playa Venao offers, and specifically Blue, where I'm at right now, this project by Deckel, is that turnkey solution that so many people who are busy, they're looking to get into the sort of, the tip of the spear. They want to be someplace before it booms, before it really blows up. They like being in the path of progress. But they want a turnkey solution. They don't have time or desire to manage it themselves, to come down here and keep an eye on it. They just want to stroke a check, have their unit, and check their bank balance every month while it's managed, and that sort of combination, right?
And sleep well, knowing that they will always have a little spot in paradise when they want to go. It's such a reassuring feeling to have this property, especially when it's well managed. You're seeing income. You get online and you look at a guy standing on a penthouse unit, and you're like, wow, nice, that place is coming along. It's happening. It really is. Well, sorry to cut you off midstream. I want to answer some of these questions, and really, Jeff, and hello to everybody. How nice of you guys to say hi and let us know where you're checking in from. It's always fun to know. We got people all over the world: Virginia, Rome, New York, and Panama. So if you work in Panama, is your income taxed along with U.S.? So Panama, I'll take this one. Panama is on a territorial tax system, meaning that Panama is only going to tax money made in Panama. That said, as Americans, we are subject to Uncle Sam everywhere we go, up to a certain threshold. I think earned income tax credit is like 120 now, 120,000 a year, and you have to be out of the country for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 11 months of the year. So your income is not going to be taxed in Panama, Jeffrey. Even if you're living in Panama, if your income is being derived from outside of Panama, working online is exactly that. If you're the payee, and again, I'm not a tax advisor, I'm not an accountant. This is not advice on structuring or anything like that. But generally, I mean, that's how Panama is, and that's one of the appeals of people from Canada and Europe, where residency is a direct sort of function of your taxes, I guess you could say. Again, I'm the real estate guy, as is Ted. So look at this, how pretty, and those hills behind him are just also what gives Pedasi its charm. Not just the ocean, but the hills behind it. I mean, those are filled with like monkeys and toucans. I don't know. Do you guys get like big critters? Like, are there cats out that way in the deep part of Asuero? Like,
yeah, there are. I mean, they're not super common, to be honest, but we get tons of monkeys. Monkeys are super common in Venao. You'll hear them all the time, the howlers especially.
Yeah, it's magical.
And deer. Playa Venao means deer beach, and there are still deer here. Not super common again. And there's cats. I was walking the property right over in that hill over there. It's probably 6 months ago, but a family of like 3, I think they're called cocomundis. Is that right? Those kind of small black cats.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They all climbed out of a tree, ran across the road, and took off into the bush. It was super cool, dude.
Yeah, super cool. I love it. I mean, you see so much wildlife in Panama, not just in places like Venao, even in the middle of the city, right? And I do apologize if you guys are tuning in for the second half of our open house today, which we're just doing a 1-for-1, which is Pedasi and Venao. Well, Venao specifically, which is where Ted is. Hard to top that, but Panama's full of wildlife, and you go to somewhere up in the States and you might see the same squirrels and birds, a bit of a variety, but in Panama you've got so much biological diversity. Really, it's one of the most biologically diverse places in the world, just because of geographically, like the convergence of these two continents and all this jet streams and all that jazz. I don't really know how it works, but the Fertile Crescent's got nothing on us. And Boquete is equally beautiful, Joanne. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. So I don't know. I mean, unless we have any questions, I'm trying to pepper Ted with some questions to get a flavor. So who are you working with this week, Ted? Where are people coming from, and why are they choosing what they choose?
It's a mixed bag. We're quite busy, thank goodness, in our line of work. That's a good thing. And we've got folks coming from Europe, from the States, all over the place, really. Israel, South America, Panama. It's interesting. The demographic shift in Venao has really been recently a lot more Panamanians buying.
We're seeing that in the mountains too.
Yeah, folks who have the money that want to have a place outside the city. Traditionally, a lot of those folks have stuck closer to the city, which makes sense. Some of those beach areas where Matt works that are just easier to get to, right? But I think part of this pandemic reaction has been folks have thought, you know what, I don't necessarily want to go someplace that's easy to get to in an hour. I don't mind being a little bit farther out, because once I'm there, it really is almost like being on an island.
Yeah, no, it is. With all the positives and the not even negatives, the benefits, right? But we could talk about negatives. So just real quick, I mean, your closest clinic is probably going to be up in Pedasi. Is that right? Or do they have anything in Venao right now?
There's not a medical center or clinic in Venao proper, Kent, but Cañas, which is about 10 minutes up the road, the other way from Pedasi, has a small one. But yeah, probably you're going to go. Minsa, the health ministry here, built a hospital in Pedasi about 5 years ago, and that's where you'd go from here.
Sure, yeah, but at least you got a little clinic if you get a gnarly gash or something. Get stung by a stingray or who knows, whatever. I don't know if
that's
they have.
Never happened here.
Anyway, hey, Rich, any high-end developments in the works in that area? I mean, we've got some beautiful houses. Ted sold quite a few. In Venao in particular, I think, what do you think up on the hills there? Ted would be the main, those on the, what's up with luxury in Playa Venao?
What was the initial question, Ken? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, and I might have not even stated it. Rich asked if there are any high-end developments in the works in the Playa Venao area.
There's definitely a range, and so I don't know what Rich means. And hey, Rich, thanks for the question. I'm not sure what he means exactly by high-end. For example, if you want that beach house over there, that's about $1.3 million. So, those prices are. The people, and by the way, those are one of those is sold. So it's not as if that's pie in the sky. So, if you wanted right now, the developers that are building spec, right? So there's another one over there that we're not even seeing via Marina.
And spec, by the way, means a developer is just going to build and wait for somebody to buy it versus buying it, with a buyer and selling it with a buyer, building it with a buyer in mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying, Ken. So in Venao, because Venao is such a young area, there isn't a lot of established home inventory. So mostly what people are able to buy today is either going to be land and then build on it. And there's some really cool, good builders down here, or they're going to buy into a community like this if they want more of a turnkey, it's done kind of solution. I pointed out these homes aren't for sale, but let me see if I can. Am I allowed to zoom in on this thing? No. Okay. Or did I just do it? Can you see those houses up on the hill?
Kind of. Yeah, I know. Right, I know what I'm looking for.
Houses.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. anyway, point being, those are just folks that bought hilltop property and are having really, really nice homes built. So yeah, there is that option as well.
Yeah, right on. Cool. Thank you. So, Andrew, those condos behind Ted. Ted, I don't know if you can see Andrew's question out of Telluride. Woohoo! It's a little spring skiing up that way. So those condos are in construction now. We're estimating. Ted said about 12 months. I would hope it'd be faster than that, but hey, in Venao, things goes on beach time, and that's okay. What's pricing and availability looking like on those old boys? Are they already sold out, or there's some units to be had?
There's a few units left, but it sounds salesy to say this. They're almost gone, but they're almost gone.
Yeah.
And anybody that wants, by the way, if it hasn't been posted yet, you're right, I can't see the comments or posts, but we're going to post a link to our ad for this place. And anybody that responds to that, we'll send you current availability and pricing. But just to give everybody an idea, the 2-bedroom units that are about 100 meters inside, call that 100 roughly ballpark, 1,100 square feet inside with a maybe 170, 180 square foot terrace.
Comfortable.
Those are going to go starting in the high 2s to the low 3s right now. That's unfurnished. They have furniture packages that run somewhere between 20, 25, 30 grand, depending upon what you get, that they can also include, or you can furnish it yourself. So somewhere in that ballpark for those. The homes are basically sold. They've got 2 on the beach that they're still for sale. There's a couple of the bigger models that are in the 5, 6, 700 range. Really right now for the smaller homes like these, the 2 bedrooms, you're looking at about 350, 360, and we've got maybe 2, and those aren't developers, those are resales.
Right on. Yeah. And that's a good point, Ted, is, we have access to both inventories, both developer and resales. So, depending on what folks are looking for, between Ted and Jonathan, they're rock stars and very attentive. So yeah, well, I think we can wrap up and get back to work. So Ted, thank you, man. I can't wait it makes me want to get in the car and just go there right now. But life goes on. Enjoy. Thank you for your time. And guys, if you're watching this after the live broadcast, we'll always jump back in and answer questions throughout the week leading up to next week's broadcast. We're going to have Gary Moore on. Gary Moore is finally getting his seaplane company off the ground, pun intended, after many years. And it's going to be amazing. Like, I can't wait to talk to him because there are so many hidden gems. I mean, Ted is a avid spear fisherman. Imagine being able to get dropped off. I don't know how the fishing is, but obviously Darien, or like El Escudo de Veraguas. I don't know what fishing is like up that way, maybe warmer waters, Caribbean, whatever. Probably Clarity is just insane. But yeah, so that's fun. All right. James King, let's answer some questions. Weather, sunshine hours, and sea breeze. Well, I can speak about sunshine hours, which is easy for Panama because we're so close to the equator that it's pretty much like 12 hours a day, like from 6 to 6-ish. And Ted, correct me. Ted will be like, well, actually 6:14 to is that a general rule? I feel like the days don't get shorter, do they?
Yeah, the days shift maybe an hour throughout the year. So it's getting dark between around 6 at the winter solstice and maybe 7 at the summer. That's about right.
Yeah, right on. And then sea breeze, etc. Is it Mauka or Makai?
That's right on, Hawaiian. There are basically 2 seasons here, and we're really transitioning right now between the dry season and the wet season. So the dry season, you get these offshore northerly winds that go out to the ocean, and they're nice. It's a trade wind. It's really consistent, and it stands up the waves, and the surfers dig it. And then in the wet season, it's more variable. Sometimes there's very little breeze. Sometimes there's some, but it's typically not super strong unless a storm comes in or something. In which case you can get water and wind, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, and then once you get out on the water, it's mostly sandy bottom, close to the shore. It's high tide for when you're playing in your surf days. That's kind of when you want to catch it, is on the way up and on the way down. But yeah, That's generally the best. It gets a little shallow during low tide, and man, it's a friendly wave. Like, you know, it just in a very spread out lineup, and like people are used to foreigners. It's just a cool vibe out there. There's always one or two locals, you know, like Ted that gets on the wave. It's like, what bot are you? You know, cut you off. Not really.
If I'm on a wave, get out of my way. That's all I can say, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
I am straight. Anyway.
Yeah, real quick before we wrap up, I don't know if you can see that. That's an island right there, and it's hard to see from the shore. But if you get up in a drone or in a plane or something, you can see that's a little island right there. But the Bay of Venao really has a cool characteristic in that the extreme ends of it. So this would be the east end, and over there the west end. They're really kind of sheltered by the horns of the bay, and so in the middle of the bay, you'll get some surfways. The surfways, we can't even see them right now. They're kind of behind those palms in that lighthouse over there at El Sitio. But the ends of the bay here are super calm all the time. And so for folks that, you know, I don't feel comfortable in the ocean, I don't want to just jump into surf waves, you can walk up the beach a little bit in either direction and have really calm water almost all the time. Yeah, it is. It's cool. It's kind of a phenomenon, and to have that much variety on the out there in the lineup. But cool. All right. Well, onwards and upwards, Ted. Thanks for making the time. Likewise, my friend. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye. Bye, everybody.